Elaine, Arkansas lay quiet beneath the cotton fields of Phillips County, a place where the soil was rich, but the people were poor. For generations, Black sharecroppers had worked the land, planting and harvesting under contracts that kept them in debt. In 1919, they decided to fight back, not with violence, but with organization. They formed the Progressive Farmers and Household Union of America, meeting at a small church in Hoopsburg. Their goal was simple: fair payment for their cotton. But in the Jim Crow South, equality itself was seen as rebellion. On the night of September 30th, 1919, a union meeting was underway when a car of white men approached the church. Shots rang out in the dark. One white man was killed, another wounded. Within hours, rumors spread that Black farmers were plotting an uprising. A Negro insurrection, they called it. The truth was buried beneath fear. By morning, hundreds of armed white men poured into Elaine from surrounding counties. They came on horseback, in trucks, and on foot, carrying rifles and shotguns. They were joined by federal troops sent from Camp Pike. What followed was not a riot, it was a massacre. Black men, women, and children were hunted through the fields and woods. Families fled into the canebrakes, hiding under the cover of night. The sound of gunfire echoed across the Delta. Cotton rows became graves. The violence lasted for days. When it ended, the official reports claimed only a handful of deaths. But witnesses told a different story. Hundreds of Black people killed, their bodies left in the fields or thrown into ditches. It was one of the deadliest racial massacres in American history. In the aftermath, the state arrested more than 100 Black residents. 12 men were sentenced to death after confessions beaten out of them. Their names were barely spoken, but their courage would change history. With help from the NAACP, their case, Moore versus Dempsey, reached the United States Supreme Court in 1923. The court ruled that the men's rights had been violated, that mob justice could not replace due process. It was a landmark decision, a small crack in the wall of Jim Crow. But for the people of Elaine, justice came too late. The land remained scarred, the memory buried beneath silence. Families who survived carried the story in whispers of the church at Hoopsburg, of the cotton fields that ran red, of the courage to demand fairness in a world built on exploitation. Elaine was not just a tragedy, it was a turning point. It showed that Black unity and self-determination terrified the system built to keep them powerless. It proved that truth could survive even the worst violence. This is the story of Elaine, Arkansas, where a meeting for justice became a massacre, and where the fight for freedom rose from the ashes. They tried to erase it. They tried to silence it, but we are still here, still telling the truth. If this episode challenged what you thought you knew, don't keep it to yourself. Push it forward. Start the conversation they tried to silence. This is Black Justice Untold. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe.